What niches do really well on Pinterest? Well, I saw this particular query earlier this week and I couldn't help but think, do I have a piece of content that really breaks down the best niches and how to determine if your niche, your business model, or your industry is well suited to using Pinterest? If you're new here, hello, my name is Meagan Williamson. I'm a Pinterest educator and Pinterest marketing expert who has helped thousands of students and clients just like you learn how to tap into the power that I truly think Pinterest can be for any of you. Now, let's talk about niches and Pinterest. If I've heard it once, I've heard it a million times by colleagues and friends, and when I'm being interviewed on podcasts, that people will say, Meagan, I don't think my particular niche or industry is all that well suited to Pinterest. What do you think? I think Pinterest is sort of a default platform for highly visual business owners and business models. And I get what you're trying to say. Listen, like through my over 10 years experience, I have seen that some niches or businesses typically can be a better fit, or just sort of their speed to result is much faster if they are highly visual. What I do find is a bigger factor here that we need to consider is not necessarily the niche, but it's more how much content are you creating to support your growth on the platform. And so what I will say is I do think there's a high correlation between highly visual businesses and their volume of output when it comes to content. And we know that when you have more content, a higher volume to work with on a visual platform like Pinterest, just like any of the other marketing channels, platforms that tend to be more visual, the more you feed the slot machine, the faster you're going to grow. We are always aiming for consistency, okay? We're not looking for like a bazillion pins, 400 pins a month that are all kind of poor quality. We are going for quality over quantity, but there is this balance of creating fresh content, feeding the system a consistent amount of content so it can really understand what you are creating, what do you sell, who are you relevant to? So when we think about the niches that perform really well on Pinterest, these are some things that I want you to consider. One, are you creating a lot of content in that particular niche? We do know that Pinterest is a very large language learning model. So it has a very sophisticated, advanced way that it organizes all the billions and billions of pins that exist on the platform. So they have these large categories for how they have categorized or organized the pins that exist. And we do see that there are larger categories, or we call them in the industry interest tags, for some categories versus others. So you may not be surprised by this, but women's fashion, men's fashion, beauty, travel, DIY and craft, food and drink, health, design, quotes. These are all of the big sort of topics that are on Pinterest. Now, what I'm going to say is, as a Pinterest expert, what I actually think is really important for you to do is to step back and look at if other people in your specific niche are creating content. Because here's the thing. Some places are noisier than others, so you have to be highly competitive. You have to be creating a lot of content, and maybe you're not in a place to create that much content. So if you are in a niche or industry that isn't as noisy and crowded, you have a much easier time ranking for your industry, your keywords. And so it's just not as noisy, right? So I actually think that's a really good argument that if you are in a smaller niche. Now, what we like to think about is how we are creating content that maps to the needs of the people who are using Pinterest. You are a person who has monetized maybe through affiliate marketing, maybe selling digital or physical products, or you're looking for them to get onto your email list so you can nurture them and bring them into your funnel. There are so many different ways that you can monetize your Pinterest presence, which I've talked about in another very popular video. Is that Pinterest really works best when you think about that their pins that you're sharing to the platform are the carrot. You are dangling that thing that promises you're going to bring them somewhere else where they can learn more, where there's going to be long format or more depth to the content. And this is why we see blogs doing really, really well. They advertise the hook, the main thing, the main takeaway, and then we're bringing them to a long format blog post. Maybe it's a podcast, maybe it's a YouTube video or a resources page on your website. There are so many different ways that you can bring people off of Pinterest onto your website, onto your Instagram account, onto wherever it is that is going to help you create revenue and profit for your business. So when we think about those big niches, I think that yes, obviously, when we look at the big categories, there is so much content and there's higher volume search. So just like in the SEO world, there sometimes is an SEO strategy or search engine optimization strategy where there's high volume keywords and then low volume keywords. And so some new creators will target low volume because there's less competition, whereas high volume, there's lots of pre-existing content. Now, that comes down to your keyword strategy. I also want to really raise the idea that you need to also not just pick a niche because it's going to perform well on Pinterest. You have to enjoy creating content in that particular niche, or you have to really think about, do you have enough knowledge or expertise or insider information to create content that fits well. I think that most people who are querying what niches do well on Pinterest are probably affiliate marketers or content creators who really want to make, do the path of least resistance. They just want to grow on the platform. And so they just want to pick the easy lane, which I totally understand. Now, the real goods is when you think about that, you widen out and you really think about that user experience and creating content that has depth, that has a unique point of view, where people are going to find and discover you on Pinterest and come into your ecosystem and absolutely gobble up all your content on your website, your short form videos, and love your unique story and point of view. Now, if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what your questions are. I am on my A game with my YouTube recording. Molly and I here have really committed to creating high value videos for you that, of course, are accompanied by my very comprehensive content library on my blog, as well as my regular emails that I'm sending out every single week to my email subscribers. So if you want to get in on the goods, make sure you join that email list that has over 35,000 incredible small business owners who love learning about all things online marketing with a special love for Pinterest. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for coming.